Hello, this is Donna from Clever Crafting. I'd really like to thank you for joining me today. Today we are making these lovely iris cards. Now this one isn't finished quite yet. I haven't got the first one. I didn't have a greeting on it yet. You can see that I've completed this one and all of the lovely little folds that we have used to make it. You can actually do this in lots of different shapes. This is a butterfly one. We won't be doing a butterfly in this particular video, but we certainly will be in the future because that's probably the next step up. But you can see how it all goes together. I like to show you the close-ups. This one where the iris, the center part is actually referred to as the iris. And you can see that that one we've put the iris off center. So let's get started. Today I'm actually going to be making a triangle. So for a triangle we're going to need 3 different patterned papers or different colors. So you could go with a color theme or with patterns. So I'm actually doing all of mine in black and white today, and you can see that I've got 3 different designs. So now each one of these strips is 3/4 of an inch wide, and then I've used 5/8 of an inch to fold over that tiny little flap there. Oh, not 5/8, I beg your pardon. No, that's 1/8. So you need to make sure that it's only 1/8 when you turn it over. This is the triangle that I've used, which is just a die, and I've chosen this size. That's the little piece that I've cut out, and I've used this lovely, jade color or tealy color. This is the template. So the template is, I guess it's really more like a map. And this is a triangle and you can see all of it. Now what I'm doing here is pointing out to the numbers. It starts at 1, 2, 3 and it goes around and around and around until you start on the outside and go to the center. So that's number 1 there. We're actually going to use this smaller one down in the corner. Now I'm really sorry about my lighting, guys, but I needed to have it on so you can see, so I've moved it down the corner, but I am going to zoom up into that area pretty soon. There we go. Look at that. It's like magic. So what I'm doing is I am sticking this card onto my map or my template. I've actually laminated the template so it's easy. It's not going to damage anything. And I just turn it around then, so you can do it right side up if that makes you feel better. I'm just doing mine upside down so it doesn't matter. Now we're actually working from the back, and we're going to be sticking these strips on with sticky tape. So you can see that what I'm actually doing there is lining up the folded edge against the line and covering up the section that has the number 1 in it. So as we do this, we are actually going to cover up the lowest visible number every time. The first, and we've got 3 shades. So the first one's going to be out of 1. The first piece I cut there, by the way, just silly, wasn't paying attention and I cut it too short. So make sure you don't do that because it's got to cover the whole section. I'm snipping that off, and so I'm going to cover the number 1, and this is my first pattern, or my first color normally, but my first pattern, which is the black and white. I think it's got a flower on it. Not that you'll notice or know. Just trimmed a little bit off the end there. And now I'm just going to grab myself a piece of sticky tape and I'm going to stick that on the end. And then I'm going to stick another piece of sticky tape on the other end. So you need to remember, as I mentioned earlier, we are working from the back. So it's okay if it gets untidy. We are not going to see this at all. Now I've got my second piece of pattern paper. So this is the next patterned paper, and I'm putting that to cover the number 2. So I'm covering the number 2, moving the folded edge right onto that line of my template. Once again, I'm grabbing some sticky tape and I'm just sticking it on either end. Now we're going to get our third color, or our third pattern in this case, which is the black with the white spots. I'm measuring it up to make sure it's covering that whole section, and I'm trimming it off so it fits onto the card. I'm going to grab some little pieces of sticky tape and I'm going to stick that one into place as well. Now I am going to repeat this process for all of them until I get into the center, and there's just that triangle in the center left. Now I'm going to speed this up a real lot right now. You can see I've sped it up here considerably, but I'm following the same process. So I've gone back to the first pattern, that I had, and I'm going to stick that onto the next number. So this would be the number 4, covering up the number 4 section, then going on to number 5, then on to number 6, then on to number 7, and so on and so forth, as we build up our card, and we'll eventually just have the center empty. As we go, you'll notice that the paper is going around in a circular type of pattern, but just make sure that you always do it in order. The first pattern, the second pattern, the third pattern, the first pattern, the second pattern, the third pattern. And if you keep doing it that way, then you will have no issues whatsoever. Now, the paper that you choose is also quite important. So the paper needs to be fairly thin. So you can't use any of that really high quality scrapbooking paper or cardstock, because it just doesn't fold as flat. And because we're layering it on top of one another, you can imagine that if you're using one of those thicker pieces, it will be so thick you won't be able to put it even through the post at all. Okay, so now it's time for the big reveal. It never, ever ceases to amaze me how marvelous this always looks every time, no matter what paper we use. Okay, so now what I've got is I have used some double-sided foam tape on the back, and you can see that I've put it in the flat areas. This is so it doesn't get buckled in the flat, you know, like in the back of it, not just around the edges. I'm getting tongue-tied clearly, but I used some some Smart Art glue on some of the double-sided tape that I have already taken the backing off, and then I just you can see I folded the corners back, positioned it, and then ripped out the release paper. Well, that got very confusing, didn't it? Anyway, I'm sure you can see by the video what I did. Now I'm just popping the greeting on. I used I got the birthday from the celebration die set that comes with the shadow. So I actually cut the birthday out twice, the actual word birthday twice, and stuck it on the white background to keep with the black and white theme. And I just stamped a little happy from one of the birthday stamp sets, and embossed that, which is nice, the white embossing, keeping once again with the black and white theme. What I love about this card is with that teal background, this is a unisex card. It could be, you know, for a boy or a girl or anyone really. That sounded weird, but whatever. I'm just popping some Smart Art glue on the back of my birthday, and I'm going to pop that down, as you can see. Just glue that on nice and flat. I'll add a little bling depending on who I'm sending it to. I may or may not add bling because I don't mind the white space. You know, I'm kind of really digging lately the nice simplicity of the cards. Anyway, I really want to thank you for spending this time with me today. I really hope you learned something and that I didn't confuse you, and that you give this technique a try. If you would like to see some different versions of this card, please hop on over to our Facebook group. I'll make sure that I put a link below in the description area for you. As always, I really appreciate you liking this video. I would just love it if you became a subscriber, and if you learned something, to give me a comment below. Till next time, stay safe and happy crafting.